What's your position on setting term limits for all elected officials in New York?
I think right now, I should have stayed up. Right now, being that, as I just spoke of, anybody that wants to get involved, they have no way back to their old livelihood. That means, who wants term limits more than you? The answer is lobbyists and special interest groups, industries. The reason why they want term limits more is because, and they won't come out and say it because it'll throw up a red flag, but they want term limits because once people that have no guarantee that they'll be able to go back to their old job get involved, and then we tell them, oh, by the way, you only have 6 or maybe 8 years to actually, represent us, and then you're not going to have anything because your old job isn't waiting for you. You've been gone for 6 years. You're replaced. Now, that means lobbyists, special interest groups, industries, they love the fact that you are now going to be catering to them so that you can line up your next job. It's already being done, and if we had term limits right now without preparing ourselves for term limits, well, we may never get rid of term limits, because once we are then catering to special interest groups, are they ever going to not want to be catered to? No. So term limits right now, we'd be shooting ourselves not only in the foot, we'd be shooting ourselves in other places as well. So we need to prepare ourselves for term limits.
Jason and I disagree completely here on term limits. As a conservative, I've struggled with this for a little while, but there's an axiom that says power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when we continue to have the same people in office for decades, and they become more and more powerful, we, the people, have no control over them. Let's use our senator, Mr. Schumer, for example. Now, Chuck went into the New York State Assembly at the age of 23. And he's still, I think he's in his 70s, but I can't tell you exactly, still in government. How can he relate to what you and I go through each day? How does he have any concept of what the price of gasoline or milk is, or paying taxes? When was the last time he drove a car? He has no idea. George Washington, 8 years in office, and he left. George Washington could have been king if he chose to. He was that popular. But he had the sense to set an example for the rest of us. I think 8 years is enough for just about anybody. It's certainly enough for our presidents. Sheldon Silver needs to leave. And if the only way we can get him out, unfortunately, currently, is being carried out, because as we saw with people like Robert Byrd, Ted Kennedy, they die in office. Well, we don't need that to happen.
Can I respond?
Yes, you'll have 1 minute.
Okay. Sheldon Silver does need to leave. But in his last year, and every legislator's last year of office, or their last 2 years, because this is a 2-year term, when they're not going to be able to get reelected, are they going to be trying to represent you? Are they going to try to impress you with their great representation? Or are they going to say, you know what? This is my last hurrah. This is my last 2 years. I'm going to get what I can. I'm going to squeeze that lemon for all it's worth. I think that's exactly what will happen, because the Sheldon Silvers of Albany, they're not going to go down without getting what they can. And that's exactly what will keep happening for as long as people have the mentality, well, shoot, I've only got 6 or 8 years, and it's my last term. Who am I really trying to impress now? Probably because I have nowhere to go after this. Well, I'm probably going to be trying to set myself up for retirement.
Thank you. Mr. Garrison.
Oh, I get it, right?
No, we go on to the next question. Nice try. I told you I was in law enforcement 19 years. You don't get away with nothing here.
thought it was fair.
Okay, Mr. Garrison.
Yes, sir.
Donna Lupardo has been on both sides of the fence regarding fracking.
Yes.
What's your opinion on fracking?
All right. You know, Donna appears to be on both sides of the fence. Her heart is only on one side. Donna is a dyed-in-the-wool liberal who is against business at every turn. She's against our any kind of company that's going to make money. So when the chips come down, we're going to see that her votes are going to be against the hydrofracking. I think this can be done, and I think it can be done safely, and I think that our area needs it to happen. It's being done in thousands of places across this country. We all take risks in life. When you and I leave here today, we're probably going to get out in a car, we're going to drive. I took kamikaze curve on my way here. I took a lot more risk than hydrofracking is going to be. The American spirit is one that takes risks and moves forward. And this area needs to take some risks. I think those risks are going to be very minimal. I think the DEC is going to look at this very closely. I think there are going to be more regulations here in New York State than any other state in the union on this. But we need to move forward. We don't need to drag our feet any longer than possible because the area needs this to happen.
Thanks, sir.
I think 2 minutes. I think that there's one thing that I want to change about what Art had just said. He said that Donna Lupardo is against any industry or prospering, and I think that she would like for her campaign contributors to prosper. Now, but the thing is, with fracking, you don't know who to really trust because our downstate legislators actually have the incentive to lie to us. Because if we actually started gaining jobs here, if we started gaining prosperity and families moved here, then that means we would get more representation in Albany. And New York City, it's about as populated as it could probably get. And if we became more populated, that means the slim majority that the Democratic Party has in our Senate, well, it would be gone. And their ability to so easily funnel tax dollars to themselves would also be gone. Now, I think that we can move forward with fracking, but I want to do it safely. I think the best thing to do is, because if we have to disregard, any propaganda that we may have been fed, I want to get some new information. I want to take a baby step. Let's find wherever would cause the least amount of harm. If industry is claiming that they can move forward safely, then let's let them perform an industry standard and prove to us that they can do it safely. And you could have government and independent agencies monitoring them, and it could even be the Sierra Club. And then if they can do it safely, let's take a little bit bigger step. See, I have this thing where I don't trust politicians, and I don't think that you should either. And when we are fed something by downstate, it really throws up some red flags for me. So I think that that's my time. But I think we can move safely forward as long as we do it safely.
Do you ever vote, Mr. Garrison?
I will. I just want to say one thing. Jason did hit on something. One of the problems is that the decision is not being made locally. If you're an assemblyman from Long Island, you're a senator from the Hudson Valley, you've got no real stake in whether or not this works or doesn't work here. But what you can do is make points with the environmentalists by being against it. The decisions should be made as locally as possible, because if there's a gain, it's going to be us who gets it. If there's a risk, it's going to be us who takes it. So the decision should be made here.